Thank you. You don't want to miss our next section, especially it's an honor and a pleasure for me to introduce our next speaker because I get to clarify a couple of things for everybody instead of each one of you individually. Because you have to just imagine when I walk up to people and they introduce themselves to me and I introduce myself and I go, hi, I'm Mike, and they look at my name tag and they go, oh, Salem Chamber. You get to work with Kyle. Yeah, I get to work with Kyle. Or I'll go up and I go, hi, I'm Mike from the Salem Chamber. And they go, oh, that's good, but you know where Kyle is? Well, today I get to clarify two things. Yes, I get to work with Kyle in the Salem Chamber. And no, I never know where Kyle is. Except today, because he is here. It is a great honor for me to introduce Kyle Sexton. He has been with the Salem Chamber almost 10 years. And to see his career develop as it has is a real pleasure for me. To see him embark as we did on the leading edge of transitioning into tier memberships and to have just a great program for our membership as it is today. For him to do what he has done with our website and our platforms that gain us as a chamber a full color spread in the Wall Street Journal recognizing the benefits to small business that are provided through the technology of our website. And for him to develop into the Director of Business Development for the Salem Area Chamber of Commerce is just a real joy to have seen. He is currently sought after around the nation to provide his expertise in the area of membership and social media, not as it applies just to social media, but as it applies very specifically to providing benefits to business through the Chamber of Commerce. He is an instructor and has been an institute for the last 3 years, as well as academy for the last 4 years. For those of you that were in the leadership development seminar yesterday, there was an example explained about how, as a child, the neurons in our brain are just kicking everywhere. And if you were to take a picture of a small child's brain, it's like a lit up Christmas tree with all of these lights everywhere because the curiosity and the questions and the ideas and the innovation that are going on. And then to compare that to us as adults, we have just kind of these limited neurons that show up because we get trapped in our own way of thinking. Well, I can guarantee you, Kyle may look like he's getting older, but if they took a picture of this guy's brain, it would still be lit up with those neurons going everywhere because he is one guy that keeps us all on our toes, very innovative, full of ideas, and he's here to bring you a great presentation on ideas that you can take away today. So please help me welcome Kyle Sexton. He's just written a book on remembership, so keep that in mind too. That'll be coming out. We'll probably tell you some more about that later.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Mike. Boy, what an honor it is to be here and to be introduced by my boss and my mentor. And I was a little nervous when I was asked to do this presentation because I thought, wow, keynote in front of a general session like this in front of a big audience. Terrific, and I've done it before, but I've never done it in a room where I have so many friends. And so, regardless if this goes really well or really poorly, I suspect that some of you, most of you, are going to find something to make fun of me for a little bit later. So that's perfectly okay. I can take it because you all know I give it. This session is called 20 Ideas You Can Steal Right Now. And boy, am I excited about this session because I love this material. I love ideating. It's a blast. And I love chamber work because there's really no franchise on chambers of commerce. A few of you may have been confused when you read the description for this session because we put a quote in there from Seth Godin. And no, Seth Godin is not going to be here this morning. But for any, yeah, sorry about that. So, but for any of you, how many of you know who Seth Godin is? Excellent. And perhaps some of you know who Seth Godin is because you follow me on Facebook or Twitter, and everything that he blogs and puts out, I automatically forward. I'm not actually sitting there, by the way, at 3 o'clock in the morning posting those. Those happen automatically. So if you're concerned that I'm not getting enough sleep, I'm sleeping fine. It's just those things are all happening automatically. Seth Godin is really a great innovator, and he's really helped me to accept the fact that I need to have more bad ideas. And I think as an industry, we really ought to be willing to take some risks and have some more bad ideas. And I'm very fortunate that I get to work with a team that accepts all of my bad ideas, and we have a culture there that's very open, and all the credit for that goes to Mike. But I can't be up here on this stage without acknowledging the other staff that are here that I work with. And I'd like to recognize Jason Brandt, Chandra Anderson, Lisa Franceschi Campbell, and Jessica Chambers, who you all met. Would you all please wave wherever you are? Would you all help me acknowledge the my teammates? I feel like it gets to work. I feel like it's the all-star game every single day. So we started off with a quote entitled "Poke the Box," and Seth Godin just came out with a manifesto, and this is the power of this guy. He really believes that if you dig deep within a niche, and you create scarcity, you can charge a lot more. Here's an example. He just launched a project called the Domino Project, and it's I'll tell you a little bit more about it later, but he's got a theory about book publishing, and book publishing steeped in tradition and paper, lots of paper, and he believes that through the digital age, we can spread ideas more quickly through people that have connections with digital information. And so he's partnered with Amazon for this. His first manifesto, not his first manifesto, but the first manifesto in this Domino project, 96 pages. It comes with a poster and a signature card, $75. If you bought a book lately for $75, it's probably like in the college textbook range, don't you think? That's a lot of money for a 96-page manifesto, but what he's discovered is that when you dig deep into a niche, you create scarcity. We're going to talk more about this. You can charge a lot more. And people will find you valuable. And this is such an interesting conversation to have with Chambers of Commerce, because as I've talked with many of you over the last couple of days who are making a change to tiered membership dues, you have a lot of questions, and there's a lot of fear associated with that. How do we structure this so that every one of our members doesn't jump down to the bottom, lowest possible level? We have fear as organizations that perhaps we're not as valuable as we've been charging. And that's a constant battle. So the quote is, stop thinking outside the box, because outside the box is a vacuum. Go to the edge of the box and make a change. That's where the real change can occur, because the box represents a set of rules and boundaries. And that's our reality. So when you go to the edge of that box and you make a change, that's where the really innovative things happen. That's when people take notice and they say, oh, that's really different. It may not be that different. How many times have you taken an idea that you picked up at a conference like WACE, taken it back home, added your own little twist or tweak to it, and all of a sudden made it way better than the last idea that you stole? Right? It happens all the time. By the way, very few of these ideas I'm going to share with you today are original. I tell people all the time, if you've stolen an idea from me, you've stolen twice. Because I got it from somebody else. And it was typically at a conference like this. And many of the ideas, and I'm so glad to have him here in the audience, Mike Varney, where are you, Mike? Where'd you go? There he is, right over there. Mike Varney, my first 6 weeks into the business, I was in Toronto at the National Association of Membership Development, and Mike was filling my head with all of these opportunities that are possible for Chambers of Commerce. I'm so glad, Mike, that you're back in the business. So let's talk a little bit about Seth Godin's work, and we're going to use that as a little bit of a foundation as we get into some of his ideas that you can steal, and also a lot more of the map-like ideas. We talk a lot about the 30,000-foot ideas, these concepts, these theories, but most chambers of commerce want a map. We don't want just that 30,000 feet. That sounds nice. We've heard that before. We don't really need the 30,000-foot level theory idea anymore. We want a map. Give me the handout. Show me the data, right? Hey, can you send me that? Can you send me that presentation? Can I steal your brochure? So instead, we're going to give you some ideas that are more map-like, and we're going to have some others that are more conceptual. My first interaction with Seth Godin's work was about tribes, and as I was reading this, you could substitute the word tribe for Chamber of Commerce in every instance. Tribes is a book that talks about how we need people to lead us. You've heard the phrase that's usually not very kind, that people are sheep, and they'll follow anybody who will feed them. And cats will flock to whoever will feed them. You can steal your neighbor's cat just by putting some cat food out. That's a nice cat. I think I like that cat. I want to see more of them. I'm going to put some cat food out. Probably the stuff that tastes better than what your neighbor's putting out. So they'll come to you if you'll feed them. And we need to find more creative ways to keep feeding our members, don't we? This is an interactive session too. It's okay. So some of the concepts in tribes, though, are very interesting. And if you haven't read this book, it's a very quick read. What I like about it, there's no chapters. It leads right in from one thing to another. Take a look at tribes. We're going to talk about some of the concepts in there. Another one is the dip. And it talks about how when we take on a project, sometimes it's okay to quit. Sometimes quitting is winning. The idea behind the dip is that you've got to know when to quit. Because if quitting is winning, you're getting ahead by quitting. Some of us have been talking about, at this conference this week, have been talking about things that we need to quit doing. And I would encourage you to look really hard at what you need to quit doing. And also along the quit lines, or think projects that you've taken on, or ideas that you've had as an organization, or that have come through your membership, ideas that you had that you tried and didn't work. It's okay to quit. It's okay to quit. Again, I'm very fortunate. I come from a position where we have an organization that is accepting of that, and no failure is truly a failure. It's just something else that we tried that didn't work that is getting us closer to success. So that's a little bit about the dip. Permission Marketing is a book that came out in 1999. I just reread it because he talks about the future of marketing. And if you think about what was going on in 1999, the internet was on the upswing. In fact, I looked back at some old conference materials from the NAMD days, 98, somewhere around there, so before I was actually in the business. There was actually a session called, "Should my chamber have a website?" Today we're talking about a lot more complex concepts and permission. Permission marketing, again written over 10 years ago, is still right on the money. And this is before social media came around. He was talking about email marketing and how when people give you their email address, they have given you permission to communicate to them. If you take that into Facebook terms, when someone clicks like on your Facebook page, they're giving you permission to market to them, person to person. And that's a much more powerful thing. When someone raises their hand and says, "I'm willing to accept your marketing messages," that's a very powerful thing. Because back in 1994, it took 7 to 10 marketing hits to turn a customer from total apathy to purchase readiness, to go from "I know nothing about you" to "I'm ready to make a purchase." Now it takes more like 27 marketing hits to turn a customer from total apathy to moderate curiosity. And where do they go when they're moderately curious? They go to your website and they check you out. Last year's Super Bowl had 5 commercials on it, where instead of directing you to the store to make a purchase or to their website for more information, they were directing you to facebook.com/their brand. Doritos, Pepsi, Snickers. Why would they do that? That's a very powerful concept. What they're asking for is permission to send you more messages. What this book uncovers, and what many of us are now discovering for the first time because of how much more quickly the world is moving because of Facebook, is that people are really willing to click on that like, but they're also really willing to click on that unlike and pull it out. Pull you out of their feed. Okay, so we need to be very careful with the permission that people give us. Take this to the next level. Another level of permission is Amazon.com. When you put in your credit card information to store there so that you can make purchases with one click, you have given them permission. This gives Amazon a huge advantage over other bookstores because not only do they have your credit card information, but they also suggest products for you, and you have given them permission to do so. Now from your Kindle, from your Wi-Fi Kindle, you can click with one button and download. You've given them permission to charge your credit card. Why are chambers not doing this? Why are we not doing it? I understand the logistical things and the legal things, and we're very fearful, but these are all ideas that we ought to be thinking about. We find it so hard to renew people year after year. But what if we were to store our members' credit cards information in our databases securely, so that when someone makes a purchase, we can have a higher level of service where instead of, would you like to come down and pay cash, or would you like to put it on your credit card? It's a much quicker, simpler transaction. Google has now realized how important 1 second is, because Instant On in Google lets us know that they've done the research to figure out that 1 second is a really, really long time to wait for your search results to come up. You start typing it in, search results start coming down before you don't even have to hit enter anymore. So 1 second means a lot to folks. And those are the concepts in permission marketing. The Purple Cow, probably my favorite Seth Godin book, is all about how to be remarkable. And a lot of the ideas that we get to talk about, and thanks to my table back there this morning, they got me all warmed up on ideas, because I have no idea how we even ended. John, do you remember how we got to talking about that thing? So we started talking about how the Nashville Chamber is doing something very remarkable with their new member packet information. They stopped printing it a long time ago, and now they give you a thumb drive with the Nashville Chamber right on there, and I think they might have even got the other side sponsored. And all the information is uploaded on that thumb drive. Thanks for joining. Here's the thumb drive. It's got all the information that you need. My spin on that idea is that's awesome. Once you've got that, it's outdated a year later, perhaps. Why don't you install on that thumb drive an auto-run program that takes you to a website that always has the most current member orientation information on there, so that anytime somebody can get in there and do that. It's a cool idea. Love making spins on it. Purple Cow, the Purple Cow name. Yeah, how many of you have read the Purple Cow? Excellent. How many of you have a Purple Chamber of Commerce? Yeah, I like it. So the Purple Cow, the concept is that as Seth and his family were driving through France on a family vacation, he was just noticing how all of these beautiful cows. There's cows everywhere. But this, after the first 20 minutes or so, yes, it's another perfect cow right over there. And it was unremarkable. But if he had seen a purple cow, he would have stopped. He would have taken a photo. He would have said, "Hey kids, get back there. Don't let him kick you. Get in there. We're going to send this photo around." And they're going to tell everybody about the purple cow. So it's all about being remarkable. And one of the things about being remarkable is that we need to capture the remarks that people are making about our organization. One of the concepts that he talks about is the concept of sneezing. I'm not talking about the biological sense of sneezing, because that's gross. I'm talking about sharing something that is truly remarkable. As we were getting set up and video recording this, and our audio video guys, who are top notch, by the way, were asking about what is this little camera you have, because it's a little unusual, and it's a Kodak ZI-8, and it has some really cool features on it. I talk about it everywhere I go because it's a really remarkable product. For $134, it's lighter than my phone. It's small. It's the same size as my phone, And it uses hardly any batteries, and it has some really cool features like the fact that you can zoom while doing video. That you can take still photo and video from the same flip style model camera. That you can have an audio input jack on a camera that costs $134 when the next model up to get an audio input jack is around $700 or $800 on a video camera. It's a remarkable product, and I just sneezed it on all. See how that works? So if we can have remarkable products and remarkable experiences in our chamber, then we can get to a point where people are sneezing the chamber on their friends, their family, their coworkers, their employees. Talk about politics and voting. If we could be more remarkable and subtle twists to our current strategies, could help us get there. So that's the Purple Cow. His latest work, Linchpin. I was one of 50 people, and we'll talk about this in a second, who was invited to come to Seth Godin's Linchpin conference in New York last April 16th. It was phenomenal to be in a room with this guy, an icon in the marketing world, one of my heroes, and he's just a little guy. He's just a little guy. He's so cute, you just want to pick him up, put him in your pocket, and take him home with you. And but what I learned at the Linchpin conference was that Seth Godin doesn't just attract nerds and geeks like me. Really, really interesting people that I met at that conference. So Linchpin is all about the world of creating art in your work versus being a cog. And we were talking about that a little bit this morning at breakfast too, where at our table where, sometimes in the chamber industry full of linchpins, you're the ones that hold it together. You're the ones with the vision. You're the organizers. You're the ones that you start things. You ship things. That's very important for linchpins. But sometimes we find ourselves doing the work of a cog. Something that is easily, a task that is easily replaced. And it's not to minimize the value of work that people do. It's important that that work get done. But if you view yourself as a linchpin, don't you see that the more valuable work is not in doing the work of a cog? Okay, those gears can be moving while you're still organizing and doing the things that are most valuable to you and your organization. Okay, certainly your professional development as well. So, we talked about a little Seth Godin, and I wanted to make sure that you all got a little Seth Godin. No joke, there is a little Seth Godin right there. There's an action figure. The guy has his own action figure. It shouldn't surprise any of you in here that I have two of these. You know I won't take him out of the box because, as Seth Godin says, outside the box is a vacuum. I don't want him to die. So that's a little Seth Godin. Now, I was really disappointed, by the way, when it didn't have any karate chopping action. I was really hoping it would. So who comes up with this stuff? This company's called Accoutrements. And if you're familiar with Accoutrements, they are also the people the fine providers of hander pants and bacon-flavored mints. So, all very normal products. Hander pants, seriously, hander pants. Their theory is because sometimes gloves just aren't enough. Go to McPhee.com, no joke. There's a whole section of bacon products, including a bacon tuxedo. No joke. I don't know why. It's not for me to. These are not questions for me to ask. All right. So you can see down there, Seth has written about 12 bestsellers, 13 maybe, and you've got a great website. It's the #1 business blog, and it's read by thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, every day. He does blog every day, and I would encourage you to go to SethGodin.com and click on his head, get to his blog, and start reading it. Here's one that we shared at the Salem Chamber in our staff meeting a couple weeks ago, and this has got Chamber of Commerce written all over it. The pleasant reassurance of new words. It's a lot easier for an organization to adopt new words than it is to actually change anything. Real change is uncomfortable. If it's not feeling that way, you've probably just adopted new words. Now, so many times we like to take something that's not quite working right, and I'm guilty of this too. Let's just change the name. That makes so much sense. Just change the name and make it completely different. And now all of a sudden people will be flocking to us. No, that's not necessarily how we make things remarkable. So that's just one example. So idea number one, or 20 ideas. Do what I do. Have more bad ideas. If you create a culture in your organization where bad ideas are okay, you're going to get closer to good ideas. Anybody taking sales training? Formal sales training? Yeah. They teach that ultimately it's a numbers game. If you're giving the same presentation and you're having the same, you have the same system for dealing with every single prospect that you come across, it's really just a numbers game. And no ends up being okay. No ends up being a yes. Because a yes, a no gets you closer to that yes. So if you know that 3 out of 10 are going to apply, well then it's a race to get to 7 no's because you know the next 3 are mine. Right? So have more bad ideas. The more bad ideas we're putting out, the closer we are to the next great idea. What do you think? Does that make sense? Number 2, and I love this one from Seth, and then we're going to get into some non-Seth stuff, I promise you. Have stand-up meetings. What? Have a stand-up meeting? What the heck is he talking about? He says, forget about scheduling those hour-long meetings. Have a 15-minute meeting in a room with no chairs. Talk about getting something done. Doesn't that send an interesting message? It probably wouldn't work at a board meeting. However, you need to rally with staff around a particular issue. And, a lot of us do this in the hallways of our offices, don't we? Hey, you over here, we need to have a hallway meeting right now. Happens all the time. But we get stuff done that way, don't we? Something about the comfort of the chair, and we got to do some housekeeping issues, and let's get right to it. So stand-up meetings, great idea. Create scarcity. Now this is something that chambers have, but we haven't really leveraged very well. And here's a couple of examples, and I'm going to tell you about how I got to be one of 50 people invited to this Linchpin conference in New York. And because he had hundreds, if not thousands, of people apply, he said, I have 50 seats for this conference, 50 only. And there's no cost to attend the conference, except that if you apply, and you had to fill out lots of essays about why you are Linchpin and how you believe that you affect other people. And in that process, he said, if you are accepted, the next step is that you have to buy 50 copies of the Linchpin. Think about this. At $24 a pop, that's some coin. So you have to buy 50 copies of the book. But what did he just do there? He said if you apply and if you are accepted, you need to buy 50 books. Now that's different than charging for the conference, because when I was accepted, it was a no-brainer. I'm going to go buy those 50 books, and in my head, I still got invited to a free conference with Seth Godin. By the way, Seth Godin, probably the most expensive keynote I've ever on the planet and seen in terms of sticker shock. Holy cow! I think it means he doesn't like to travel. That's how I take it. But he created scarcity because he had a two-pronged approach to attracting people to this conference. Okay, so yeah, I was accepted for the Linchpin conference, but on Tuesday, on the way down here, I found out I had been rejected for the Domino Street team. I was excited about the possibility, but what he does is he engages people in a process, people that are really fans of his. And in our chamber, we're going to look for, in Salem Chamber, we're going to be looking for more ways to get people to apply for things and get them excited about participating and think differently about teams. I would encourage you to think differently about teams and committees and the way that you recruit for those. And yeah, you want to have you're putting a team of 10 together, and here's the 6 people that you know that you want. And what if you opened it up for an application process for the other 4? Get people engaged in a different way. Have them go through some steps. Don't create bureaucracy around it, but make it fun. And that's what he's done. Normal person like, I have to fill out all these essays and things. What a hassle. But it's a hassle if you're not a fan. If there's no value in it, It's a hassle. So create scarcity in your organization. Now we're going to start moving a little faster through some of these ideas. Operation Thank You. That's where's Brad? Is Brad next in the audience? Is Brad next here? Brad, would you mind making your way up? And I'll talk about the next idea while you're making your way up. But we stole this idea about Operation Thank You from Medford-Jackson County Chamber. But I'm going to talk about saving remarks. Being a remarkable organization, you want to save people's remarks. If somebody pays you a compliment, get it on video, get it on audio, get it in text. Come on, Brad. I want you to share a little bit about your Operation Thank You and some of the ways that you tweaked it and how it's made you a remarkable organization.
I don't know that it's made us remarkable. You know, Mike talked about how proud he was of Kyle. Imagine how proud we are as the chamber that serves as the incubator for most of the ideas that Kyle has stolen. It's a very, it almost makes me tear up a little bit. So,
the idea, Brad, the idea.
You know, really simply, we grew really quickly as a chamber. It wasn't very long ago. We were about a 1,000-member chamber. We went over 1,700 members. And it occurred to us that we weren't going to be able to go out and have face-to-face personal contact with members the way we used to. So, as a group, came up with an idea, close the office the last day of every month, and everybody, including our Visitor and Convention Bureau staff, joins in these calls. You get a roster, and here's your 5 calls, 10 calls, whatever it amounts to be. And we close the office until just after lunch, and we call every one of them. And we call them at their 6-month anniversary for the purpose of just saying, you know what, tough economy, you got a lot of choices you can make with your money. Thank you. We really appreciate you and your membership, your investment in this organization. Are you getting your business review, et cetera, et cetera. And our attrition rate is worse than it's ever been, so it's really fantastic. It's been great. So,
thanks, Brad. Thanks. It's a great idea. Certainly one worth stealing. We stole it, and since I've been talking about it, I know many of you have also stolen it. And here's the twist that we took on it, because when the economy really started taking a dip south, we started doubling our calls, and that was Mike's call. It was a good call. It's a good call to make. We started doubling our touches to members. We call them at 3 months before their renewal date, 3 months after. And we're not calling to say, hey, you're up for renewal. We're not calling to verify information. We're just calling to say thank you. Thanks for being a member. And I've been on the receiving ends of those calls from GoDaddy. Any GoDaddy customers in here? You get those calls? You just want to call and say thanks for your business. It's as simple as that, and it really makes an impression. I was making a purchase from GoDaddy one time. It was actually my first big purchase. We were buying some hosting and a whole bunch more URLs. And the phone rang right after, about 20 seconds after I hit submit on the purchase. My phone rang, and she says, "Hi, Mr. Sexton, this is Michelle from GoDaddy. I see you just made a purchase." And I said, "That's really weird." And it was really weird. I turned around to see actually if she was watching through the window or something. There was a little bit of a creep factor, but what we don't expect though is for an online transaction to result in a person-to-person connection. And so we started doing that in our organization. We started selling memberships online. We get that email that says a new member has joined. We pick up the phone, we call them, and we say, "Thanks for joining," because that membership initiated without any person-to-person interaction. So that's really important. Those are fun calls to make, because now I get to be the creepy guy on the other end of the line. I actually had somebody do that to me and say, "Are you stalking me?" No, we get this email. So it's technology. I don't think it's going anywhere. So we talked about Operation Thank You. We talked about saving remarks of video testimonials. Here, we'll save more on video for later. But on advertising to strangers or rewarding influential referrers, have you noticed there's a shift happening in advertising? Something's going on in that world. It's been about 18 to 20 months since Facebook really has shaken things up in the advertising world, and consumers are confused. And the information age is over. I think it's really important to acknowledge that you don't even have to spell anything correctly to find information about it, because Google will correct that for you. So if the information is gone, what has come to replace it? Well, it's referrals. People are willing to take the recommendation of a complete stranger, especially if it's on video. They're willing to take the recommendation of a complete stranger rather than go through their own due diligence. So here's an idea. Do more video. Because video adds context. It adds flavor to the testimonials. So we're on the track, and I'm right there with you. We're just getting into this. And how many of you are already doing testimonials on video? Yeah, great, excellent, good work. Send me a link. I want to steal from you. This should be an exchange. So, the idea behind advertising to strangers or rewarding influential referrers is that advertising dollars are now better spent on a narrow market. If you can find referrers, and most importantly, find referrers who have influence, because sure, it's one thing to find somebody who will post your link or sneeze about you on their Twitter or Facebook, but for people who really have influence in their marketplace and amongst their family and friends, coworkers, their industry, perhaps. And I was excited recently. I discovered somebody who's been a member for a really long time in our organization, who every time he says to somebody, you should join the chamber, they do it. And I've been there almost 10 years. That just took me this amount of time to figure out that this guy is really a rainmaker. And how can we leverage that? How can we treat him differently? Treating him differently is an important part of the equation. Mass versus meeting, roundtables and cattle calls. In this effort to have more personal interactive touches with members, so I was reading The Purple Cow, I had this concept of what if we just took niche segments of our members and called them and to invite them to a marketing roundtable. I'm a marketing guy, I love talking about this stuff all the time, and I think it really adds value when you pull people that have something in common, that are struggling with the same issue, pull them together. Are we not the Chamber of Connections? Chambers of commerce are chambers of connections, and you can engage people differently. I think that's really important, because you're always going to have people who are interested in coming to your business after hours or this and that, the cattle call things. But you've got that segment of your audience that's really interested in more personal interactions. How many of you are doing Connect for Lunch? Have you heard about that program? It's a great program, and it pulls people together in very small groups, and you get great reviews on them. All right, so here's a unique experience that I had at a coffee shop. They could have just poured a cup of coffee, but they made, I don't even know what that is, but it's a plant. But it looked remarkable. The idea there is that it's remarkable, and I was impressed with it, and I took a picture and I put it on Facebook. So if you do something that's remarkable, you could be sneezed on to other people. Here's another great book called Made to Stick. These authors, Chip and Dan Heath, also have a book out called Switch that's very popular and growing in popularity very quickly. And if you don't tell your story, the public will make one up for you. And I think that's a really powerful statement to make, because that relates down to our brand, because that's how people feel about you. Your story. Tell your story better. So here's a story about a chamber that had a great idea about creating an iPhone app, and I was publicly critical of them. I said, well, 7% of the market has an iPhone. This is 2 or 3 years ago, and I said, what do you know about this that I don't know? Because 7% is not justification to spend 10 grand on an iPhone app. That's how much they were back then. So they couldn't articulate it. They said, oh, we just want it because it's cool. All right, yeah, it is cool. I'll give you that, but it's expensive. And what they may have realized intuitively is what a bank had to go through some research to find out, because they were doing some research. This bank was doing some research on whether or not they should invest more in online. And they looked at the numbers and they said only 10% of our audience and 10% of our customer base is is interacting on our website at least once a month. Only 10%. So if you take that to a consultant and you ask them, should we invest more here? The consultant is perfectly justified to say, probably not. 10%, the same iPhone, only 7% at that time. Probably not. But what they dug a little deeper, and they realized that the 10% of those online users represented 70% of monthly deposits. 70% of monthly deposits. Okay? Take that back to our iPhone application. What that chamber realized, without articulating it, was that the idea here is that iPhone users share everything with everybody. It's a community of people who are networked and they have influence, and they refer other products to other people. Hence all of these apps that get spread around like crazy. Okay? So, split testing fundraisers. There's a story about, in this book, about an organization that went out to do some technology surveys. It was not about technology surveys. What they did was they had to have an excuse to give people $5. And then ask them to do something with that $5 afterwards. So the idea here is that they wanted to test two different letters. Letter number 1 was all information and facts. Letter number 2 was telling the story of a 7-year-old little girl in Mali who, if she had proper education and clean water and clothes, it would dramatically change her life. Facts versus story. The story letter was, they were both raising money for an organization called Save the Children. Came with a self-addressed stamped envelope and the letter. Letter number 1, all data and information, $1.12 average. Raised $1.12 average. The story letter raised more than double that. So they decided to split test. All right, let's take a merger of the data letter and the story letter, and then compare that against just the pure story letter. Same result. So, what they determined is, when you ask people to analyze information and data, you're actually asking them to turn off the emotional side of the brain. Sounds to me like we need to quit providing too much information and go with all stories, right? Stories are much more compelling. When you ask people to analyze data, they're shutting off the part of the brain that is the emotional side. That's very, very influential, powerful information. So I hope you'll take that. So idea number 9, own your own social media site. This is a really cool idea, particularly because they stole it from me and I stole it from somebody else. And several of you have stolen this idea. Because WACE now has its own community. The U.S. Chamber Institute, Redondo Beach, North Basin County, Washington, Frank's in the room, Owensboro, Kentucky, Mount Vernon, Ohio. And this technology moved SalemChamber.org to number 1 in the Alexa rankings among Chamber of Commerce websites, with the exception of U.S. Chamber. So our rankings have gone up huge because all this information is originating on our site and now feeding out to Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And they also have the ability to check a box and have it go to their own Facebook and Twitter. And we just launched a new homepage where we're taking all of our members' headlines that are being posted in this section of our site, and then they're going to the homepage of our site. And that's really good. It gets people really excited. Remember that Peter Sheehan was talking about the stitching? This is giving some different stitching to the story of the Chamber of Commerce and why we're valuable to this segment of our members. What's really interesting about this is that we get excited about when 25% of our members start using something, anything that we have. That's a pretty big market segment. We now have on our social network we call Face-to-Face, we have close to 60% of our membership has signed up for a profile. And I don't know that we could have done anything else to affect that many of our members just to get a profile. So steal that idea. Chamber TV, a great idea. Here's why getting your chamber on YouTube is so critically important. A trend and technology marketing expert friend of mine is predicting, and a lot of others are, I don't just go on whatever my friends tell me, but 2011 will be the year that YouTube becomes number 1 in search. More searches done on YouTube than any other site except for Google.com right now. And for those of you who are worried about the future of Google, oh no, what are they going to do? It's okay, Google owns YouTube. So, rest at ease. So here's an idea that you can take for video. You want to start off with something. Take the top 10 most frequently asked questions of your organization put the answer in a video. Even better, interview one of your members who can speak intelligently about that. You can script it if you like. But what you could also do with that is you could transcribe it. And in the description of the video on YouTube, you put the text that's being spoken. Why would you do that? Because of search engine optimization. If you put the words that people are looking for, it's called keyword rich. The more specific you get, the more keywords you're likely to pick up in these descriptions. So as people are doing searches for whatever they're looking for that your Chamber of Commerce offers, more likely to come up with that. So a very good strategy, very stealable idea to take your Chamber of Commerce onto YouTube, which will, in the next 12 months, become #1 in search. Here's a cool idea. I'm really excited about this one. It's called mychambermap.com. This is it's actually just being released this week, and there's directories everywhere. It's really easy to create directories. If I had a spare 8 hours, I could probably create 8 or 10 or 12 online directories of different stuff. But here's a map, a 3D map concept that uses the Google API that is really cool, because you can actually turn that map on its side and all of these logos will pop up. So you populate this directory with your members, and it's a different way to view the information there. You can also search by category and have only restaurants pop up or only law firms pop up. And you can sell advertising around this. And they've got a profit share model, and with Chambers of Commerce, I think it's going to grow. I think it's a really cool idea. You know Groupon? You have some members that are using Groupon? They like it? Yeah. Okay. Some like it, some say, I'm not sure I would do it again. Well, Groupon, I want you to meet Try It Local. TryItLocal.com is a different model for a whole lot of reasons. Groupon asks you to discount 50%, and then they're going to take half of that. So the business owner gets 25% of retail. And that's hard to swallow. Certainly, it's justifiable for a lot of things. Now, what Try It Local does is they deploy through Chambers of Commerce, which is really unique. And you got to give them a lot of credit, because there are probably faster distribution models than that. But Try It Local is being brave in giving businesses more flexibility, about 40% discount, and the chamber gets 10% revenue. 20% goes to Try It Local for all the administration, and it's no cost to chambers to start up. That means that your members are getting 42% of revenue, and they're supporting the local community instead of the money going to Chicago. So Try It Local, a fantastic idea. I think 50 or 100 chambers are already either using it or trying it. First month at the Greater Louisville Inc., they netted about $4,000 for the chamber. So think about the money associated with that beyond that. So let's rip through some of these last few ideas. The Hollywood Chamber of Commerce is a really cool website, but what you don't see is what's on the back end. I've been looking for a long time for a technology that's somewhere between a NING community, which is what your WACE online community is built on. It's built on a NING platform, and so is the Redondo Beach Link product and our face-to-face. Those are all a NING platform. I've been looking for a hybrid of that and WordPress and Joomla for a long time, and now we've discovered it. So the back end of this technology from Chamber Web Pro is really exciting to look at, because it really spreads out the workload amongst you and your staff, because it's so easy to use. It takes a fantastic content management system, a gajillion widgets and templates that are customizable, so you can have your Chamber website look like however you want it to look. New widgets are being developed all the time, but it has some great a great business model behind it as well, because it allows you, your organization, to sell web packs to your members that make you money and provide a low-cost website to your member that is attached to their membership profile. It also has a social community built in, and a news syndicator. Remember I told you our news share goes to Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and all that stuff? It took a lot of work to get all that, and this does it with just a few clicks. It's brilliant technology. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm thinking about dumping my 6-month-old website to go to it. It's pretty awesome. So, crowdsourcing, another really cool idea, something that we experimented with this last month with our chamber directory. This is our Salem business guide. Now, what that looks like is a guy that, business rocks. Woo, cool. So, but what you don't see so much until you get to the back are the photos of all of our members. We asked our members to submit photos for the Photo Mosaic project on our directory cover. We thought maybe we'd get 50 responses. We got 350 responses. Our members love it. And so when they pick up the directory that they're going to receive in the mail this week or next, they're going to, those ones who have submitted something for that project, they're going to scour our directory and be looking for themselves in it. It's an idea that we stole from Harley Davidson. They did a Harley Davidson 2010 catalog, did a really good job. They asked their audience to submit photos too, and I was talking to the guy that organized the project, and he said, yeah, I know what you're thinking. There was a lot of photos that we couldn't use. True story. So, search engine optimized directory. A lot of technology companies are talking about this. I know Chamber WebLink has it. I know Chambermaster has it. You can get it from a variety of other sources, but I want to share with you our experience with it because I really didn't expect it to do too much. I really didn't know what to expect, really. I just wanted that when somebody typed in hair salons in Salem, Oregon, I wanted it to lead directly into our directory. And so now we're 3 months in, and we have some stats that show our early results. We're getting 5 times the impressions. 5 times the impressions now on our search engine optimized directory, and that is some huge numbers. It's exploding. So now we need to totally recalculate the value. For those of you who tell your members what your membership is actually worth, we need to totally recalculate the value. CrowdRise, a very cool social platform. If you have a foundation or any charitable component, and this is an idea you can take back to the charities in your community. This is a social network that's built around charities. You don't have to have anything other than the name of the charity. You can start fundraising right away for it. I did it in 3 steps. It was super easy. They want my name, my email address, and they want to know what charity I want to raise money for. So I put South Salem Rotary Foundation. It is tied into the IRS database of charitable organizations, and any money that I raise on crowdrise.com, check it out, any money that I raise every month, they're going to send, I think it's 85-90% of the dollars that I raise in a check form to the P.O. box that's registered with the IRS. How cool is that? That is so easy. How can we take that concept and multiply that? If you haven't heard of CrowdRise before now, you're going to hear a lot about it in the future because they have just, and if you want to see a great example of tone in social media, it's very cool. And just as an example, CrowdRise is about volunteering, raising money for charity, and having the most fun in the world while doing it. Go here to see a beautiful picture showing how CrowdRise works. Go here if you want to see an even more beautiful picture of a napkin. They've just got a really just cool, fun, totally silly, irrelevant, doesn't even matter, but they've got that tone about them. And it's engaging and invites people in and says, we're not stuffy about raising money. You want to donate $1? Do it. Cool. I love it. Actually, one of our vendors here, whocanhelp.com, I couldn't believe that this was free to chambers. So I dug a little deeper and I was trying to figure out why, because if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Whocanhelp.com is a service that if you have if your water heater breaks and you need somebody to fix it, you can go to whocanhelp.com, put in your problem, and like eBay, have an independent third party in between you and the problem. They're not going to call you. People who are qualified to solve your problem aren't going to call you, but they're going to tell you in this third party website. And this is really valuable for certain segments of your membership. Well, it's such a brilliant idea that they want users. They want masses of people using it, and that's why they're offering it for free to chambers. Crazy idea. And congratulations on being brave. And I think we should all take advantage of great vendors like that who are willing to do that. Here's another idea, number 18, promote what's new. When was the last time you saw McDonald's advertising a Big Mac? We keep talking about our special events and our networking. Let's talk about what's new. They know that. They know that. So let's talk about what's new. Outsource your intelligence. The West Virginia Chamber of Commerce just won several. They cleaned up in all the membership awards for state chambers of commerce because they have a proactive strategy towards renewals. They call each one of their members before they send out the renewal invoice to have a conversation with them. How's business going? And are you committed for 2011 for your membership in the West Virginia Chamber of Commerce? A brilliant, risky, brave strategy because it's expensive, but it's had a terrific impact on their retention. And it's done very professionally. And she said, as I was talking to my friend Amanda about this, she said there's a company that does this for state chambers of commerce. There it is right there, b2bprofessionals.net. I don't know the lady, but I think it's a brilliant concept. They work with state chambers of commerce right now. I'm sure that if you wrestle them into it, they would do it for you as well. And I understand they do it on a percentage of the renewal revenue. So a very cool concept. Chamber discount card. I don't know if they're here, but Chamber discount card is a really cool product because they've taken all the work out of administering a buy local program, and they've decided to create an outsourcing partner for chambers of commerce to accommodate that. So it's a terrific concept. It takes some investment on your part, but if you're looking for something that's really fast to get you there, check out a Chamber discount card. Bringing publications in-house can be a scary task. We did it about 7 years ago, and certainly it has a lot of advantages. I know Culver City has theirs in-house as well, and if you're looking for somebody to do that for you and to coach you through the process of bringing the project in-house, Chamber Marketing Partners is one of them. We have a lot of great publishing companies as partners, and for those of you who are tired of doing it in-house, you've got a lot to choose from. Some of you are in a position where you're looking to bring it the other way, and now there's an outsourcing partner to do that. And of course, many of you know that if you're interested in converting to membership tiers, that's something that you can get at chamberthink.com. The final idea of the day is to treat members differently. And a couple of examples of how to do that. Number one, membership tiers. And really a very common question that I get associated with switching to membership tiers is, well, do our members get the impression now that if they pay more that they're going to get better service? My response to that is, gosh, I hope so. Because it's okay to treat members differently. It's okay to treat customers differently. We're trying to really dig a little deeper in our chamber and create pathways. We determined that there are 3 reasons why our members join: for community involvement, for advocacy, and for marketing. And based on their goals, there are different pathways that they can take through the chamber. So we tend to emphasize the most popular events, but if someone is not interested in events, as soon as we start talking about events, we've lost them. And every time we send them a renewal invoice, we're guilting them for not showing up. So we need to recognize and understand why we are valuable to them and respect that. But we really need to honor that, because that will really affect whether or not they renew their membership and for how long. And it will also affect whether or not they sneeze you to their friends. Okay? All right, so my final idea of the day, we're wrapping up on time, is number 21. Be generous. And Mike mentioned that I've been working on a book. It's been a long couple of years. But my gift to all of you for attending today and for being such delightful people is that for all of you here at WACE, for the conference, if you go to kylesexton.com and you just put your name, your first name, last name, and email in there, I will send you a free digital copy of Re-Membership, New Strategies for Tomorrow's Membership Organization. A lot of the concepts that we're talking about here this morning are in there, and even a lot more. So it will be available for print at a later date, but the digital version, as soon as that is out of editing and done being approved, because it's me, I make a lot of mistakes. You'll receive an email with a link to that. So I really want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for the inspiration that you all provide to me. I know the conversations that we have, some of you feel like you're an inconvenience to me when you ask me questions, but I feed off of that And I really, really do enjoy the interaction that I get with every one of you. And I really hope that you'll take the ideas that we talked about here today and put your own twist to them and go out and really make some terrific change in your organization, because frankly, in 2011, your members are really counting on it. Thanks, WACU.
Not only did you get 20, you got 21. So take advantage of that. Make sure you get that digital copy. Kyle, thank you very, very much for your presentation today. Let's give him a